All right, so as drummers, a lot of times we're asked to not play so loudly. The nature of this instrument is that it's pretty easy to play loud, and to play loud all the time and not be aware that you can actually play soft. And for other musicians you might be working with in certain styles of music or certain instruments that you're playing with, a lot of times the drums are just too loud for those people. And I can understand this. It makes a lot of sense. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some tips that will help you to play softly or more quietly. And because it's not that easy, really. It's actually it's hard to play soft. So there's some things that you can do to make it easier. So first tip would be to practice playing soft. And sometimes when we're playing our drums and practicing, we just play at the same volume all the time. And maybe we play at a medium-ish volume or a loud volume, and we never play at a soft volume. And so when we're asked to play softly, it's really hard because it's super uncomfortable because we just haven't spent enough time doing that. So that's first tip. Just make sure when you're practicing, you spend a good amount of time playing things quietly as well as whatever other volumes you're used to working in. Second tip, be super, super relaxed in your grip, in your arms and wrists, in your hands, and hopefully your entire body. There's a tendency to sort of tighten up, actually, when we're asked to play soft or we choose to play soft, and that's going to make it harder to play soft. It's actually almost impossible to play soft if you have a lot of tension in your arms, hands, wrists, fingers, etc. So that's huge. Just making sure that you're ultra relaxed, that you don't have tension in your systems, and that your grip is really, really, really loose, and you're not actually gripping down on the drumstick that much. If you go back and look at the little thing that I played at the beginning of this video and just watch my hands, you'll see that I'm barely holding onto the drumstick. It's just super loose inside of my hand, and it's allowed to wiggle around and do whatever it wants to do. And that makes it easier for me to play soft. I should also note that I go for this approach at all volume levels. And I also find that playing really, really loud lends itself to tightening up as well. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the same problem. So it's just always, no matter what the volume you're at, you're shooting for ultra loose, relaxed grip and position and whatnot. Okay? So, next tip. This is a big one. Drumstick, choke up on the drumstick. Just like as they say in baseball or softball. You have a bat, choke up. So you move your grip more towards the middle of the stick. I wouldn't say that I go all the way to the middle usually. Tends to feel kind of weird, but it's certainly it's pretty far. Like if I'm holding the stick with a little bit of grip, it's usually, first finger and thumb, as you can see there. And so I end up holding the stick maybe about there, there-ish. Probably not quite in the middle like that, but just a little bit further back. So there's a lot of extra stick hanging out the back end here, and that's what I mean when I say choke up. And this will help you immensely when it comes to playing softly or lightly, because what happens is by doing this, we basically remove the weight from the tip end of the drumstick. It feels like a lighter drumstick when we grip up here as opposed to back here, or maybe even further back. By moving up, choking up, it makes the stick feel much lighter at the tip end, and so we're able to play lighter because it feels like there's less weight on this end. Okay? The opposite is true for playing loud. If I'm playing super loud, I come way back. Usually my hand even just comes like, extends past the stick like that when I'm playing really loud. And I'm really just holding on to the very butt end of the stick. And it makes the stick feel very heavy at the tip end. Okay? So anyways, to play lighter, easier, choke up as much as feels comfortable. Next tip would be to use a drumstick that's easy to play light with. Let me grab a stick that's not easy to play light with so I can compare it to this drumstick. Show you the difference. So the biggest factor that makes a drumstick feel lighter and makes it easier to play lighter with is the taper. So you can see on this stick, the taper is this part that tapers down towards the tip here. So right here, the taper is really, really short. It's like that long. It's crazy short for a drumstick. So it starts like right here and just tapers that much. So there's a lot more wood at the tip end here, which is more weight. So this stick would be really, really hard to play quiet with because it's very heavy at the tip end. No matter how much you choke up, it's always just going to feel heavy there. Good stick for playing really loud, but not for playing quiet. Compare that to the stick I was using just now. The taper starts like maybe right here. This is an extremely long taper. So it starts like right here, goes all the way to the tip, and so there's very little weight at the tip end. There's less wood here, so this stick feels lighter. I'll do another video on sticks, but the actual diameter of the stick and the length of the stick, it doesn't matter as much when it comes to playing soft or playing loud. The biggest thing, like I said, is this taper, and also what type of wood is the stick made out of. So there's two common types, hickory, which is probably the most common, and then maple, which comes second to that. Now, hickory is really durable, but it's heavier. Maple is less durable, but it's much lighter than hickory. So a maple stick with a super long taper would be the ideal choice for playing light. This happens to be a hickory stick, so it is a little bit heavier, but because it has such a long taper, it's pretty easy to play quiet with this stick. Okay, cool. So really those are the main tips I have for you for playing quiet. And just remember to practice playing quiet. That's probably the biggest one. And then try these other things, and I think you'll find it to be a little easier to play quiet. Cool. See you next time.